Hey all, my name's Braden, and welcome to another Bray Plays. This time it's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm deactivating Tails, because he's going to get me in a lot of trouble later in the playthrough if I do not. So, what can Sonic do in this game that he couldn't do in the first? Well, he could do everything he could previously, including a brand new special ability introduced in this game, even though it was originally supposed to be introduced in Sonic CD. If we look in the instruction manual, we will see the Supersonic Peel Out. No, the Supersonic Spin Dash, not the Peel Out, my mistake. So, the Spin Dash is really easy to activate. If you hold down and mash the hell out of the jump button, that is either A, B, or C on the Genesis/Mega Drive controller, or in my case, the X on the PS4 button, PS4 controller, Sonic will rev in place, and when you release down, he will take off in a burst of speed, pretty much from a standstill. And other than that, he can do everything he could in the previous game. He can run, jump, curl into a ball, everything. So, this is a special stage. In order to get to these, you have to collect 50 rings, of course. But unlike Sonic 1, instead of reaching the end of the stage, you have to cross a star post, as I call them in this game, as they have a little star on them this time around. It's pretty much the checkpoints from Sonic 1. Crossing a star post with 50 rings will spawn the Star Gate. Now, if you jump into the Star Gate, you're going to be brought here. Now, in this special stage, there are many things to do, and by that I mean a whole whopping 2. You have to get rings and avoid bombs. If you collect a certain amount of rings before a certain threshold in the special stage, you are allowed to progress on to the next part of the special stage. Collecting all the rings you can before the end of the special stage will grant you one of the 7 Chaos Emeralds. And yes, there's always been 7. I don't know what you're talking about. No! In terms of the special stages, it's easy to tell where the rings are going to come from. If you watch the curvature of the special stage, you're going to be able to determine what side the rings are going to come from. For example, if the special stage curves to the left, all the rings are going to spawn on the right, and vice versa. So if it curves to the left, all the rings are going to spawn on the left. Really basic stuff. So, other than that, it is possible to get all 7 Chaos Emeralds in Emerald Hill alone. I will not be doing that, I promise. Ignore what the footage is telling you. But, in terms of the special stage, you're going to want to watch out for the bombs as well. Because if you run into a bomb, it'll take away rings, potentially decreasing your overall chances at getting the Chaos Emerald. So yeah, that's everything pretty much about the special stages. But see how the stage curved to the left? To curve to the right, all the rings spawned on the left. And when it curves to the right, like I said, all the rings are going to spawn on the left, and when it curves to the left, they're all spawned on the right. So, and sometimes rings also spawn up on the ceiling, so you're gonna want to keep your eyes peeled for any rings you're gonna come across in the special stages. But if you don't get enough rings by the end of the special stage or by one of the thresholds, the stage will say, "Too bad, you didn't do it good enough. Get 50 rings and try it again at a different star post." Now, due to contrary belief, there are indeed more than 7 star posts within Emerald Hill alone, so that's always something you're going to want to keep an eye on. I believe there is actually 9 star posts. So, yeah, not exactly 7. You have more than enough opportunities to get all the Chaos Emeralds in Emerald Hill. However, if you cross over 1 star post later in a stage, you're not going to be able to backtrack to a different star post and activate that, because when you cross a certain star post, the rest of the star posts that are behind it will activate. So, if you're going after all 7 emeralds in Emerald Hill, you're going to want to be careful. But akin to Sonic 1, you collect 100 rings, you get an extra life. When you get hit, when you have rings, you lose your rings, and when you get hit, when you have no rings, you die. Very basic stuff. Sonic can run, jump, curl into a ball, like I mentioned. Including that new fancy spin dash ability. On top of that, there are the monitors within the stage as well, such as the invincibility power-ups, the ring monitor, which you see right here. You also have the 1-up monitor, which is pretty much Sonic's face, and the shield monitor, which is the blue circle, which, due to the compressor I'm using on the footage, is completely enveloping Sonic. I'm sorry about that. I won't be able to do anything about that. However, stages are also broken up rather interesting in this game, as it cuts out an entire act of a zone. Each zone is broken up into 2 acts, Act 1 and Act 2. Act 2 is a full stage plus a boss fight against the Doctor himself at the end of each zone. So, and again, like Sonic 1, 8 hits and he goes down like a chump. However, some Robotnik fights in this game are actually harder than they were in Sonic 1, I find. Such as the one in Metropolis Zone. I'm actually not very good at that fight, and you're gonna see that later. The Death Egg robot at the end of the game is also rather difficult. Well, it's not really difficult, it's just more nerve-wracking because you don't have any rings for that fight, but more on that later. So this is Special Stage 3, I believe. This is the stage where we're introduced to curving rings, as well as curving bombs. But as you could see, we have to get 110 rings. So that is our quota we have to reach in order to get to the next and final part of this particular special stage, in order to attempt the run at the Chaos Emerald. Now, I do want to get a little bit more into the power-ups as well. Each power-up, of course, grants you a certain ability, such as the ring monitor gives you 10 rings, the 1-up monitor gives you, of course, an extra life. The shield monitor gives you a shield that allows you to take a hit and not lose your rings, or die for that matter. Thank God that infernal spike glitch isn't in this game. Because the spike glitch didn't care about the shield. The invincibility monitor is the 3 stars you see in some of the monitors scattered around the stages. That grants you an invincibility for a short while. And on top of that, there is also the speed up monitor, which is just a shoe on a monitor. So, yeah. There is one more thing I want to mention about the overall mechanics of this game as well, is that when you collect 50,000 points, unlike Sonic 1, you're able to get an extra life for crossing a 50,000 point threshold. So that's always something to look forward to. Now, see, we're going straight into Act 2, which is the last act of a zone. Think of it kind of like an Act 2 and Act 3 of Sonic 1. But each badnik corresponds to their overall stage that they're located in, such as Emerald Hill Zone here has the Chompers, Coconuts, as well as Buzz Bombers, which are the fish, monkey, and the wasp badniks. And in my honest opinion, Coconuts is the hardest badnik in this overall game to avoid in this stage. Because, oh, we're going to be getting into worse badniks later. Trust me on that. Now, I do want to touch a little bit on some similarities between this zone, Emerald Hill, and Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. Yeah, I know. Of course, they're going to be kind of similar. And don't mind the cut. I just screwed up the special stage, so no big deal. Plenty of opportunities to get the Chaos Emeralds throughout the game. But Emerald Hill, I find, is very similar to Green Hill in the fact that It's your casual introductory stage in any 2D side-scrolling Sonic game. It's green, you go fast, gives you a basic understanding of how the game's gonna work and all that. That's the extra life monitor, so you break it. The jingle plays and you get an extra life. Very basic stuff. Now, Emerald Hill, like I mentioned, is very similar to Green Hill. You go really fast, you learn pretty much the mechanics of the game, and you learn how it's going to be structured, what all the power-ups do, how Sonic moves and handles in the advanced physics, I find, as apart from Sonic 1. So that's always something cool. Now, akin to my latter half of my Until Dawn LP, this is going to be an entire post-commentary playthrough. Why? Because Sonic games move kind of quick, and I don't want to be stumbling over my words while I'm playing the game itself. So this is the next special stage. See, we have to get 40 rings, so I believe this is the special stage that we're introduced to the ring lines, the kind of curved ring lines. I believe this is the special stage that introduces that. Now, there are many ways to avoid bombs, such as jumping over them or just, swerving around them. However, swerving's not gonna be too beneficial in Special Stage 7. More on that later. Because I honestly don't really like Special Stage 7. I think it is the hardest special stage in this game. No, this is the special stage that introduces the rings on both sides, in which you have to jump in between the special stage walls in order to collect the rings. But then the special stage starts getting savvy to your bullshit and puts bombs right before the rings. But this is the special stage I screwed up, which caused me to edit out the first attempt at it. So this is the second attempt at the special stage, so. As you see, the stage curved to the left, so rings are spawning on the right. Just like I mentioned. Stage curves to the left, rings spawn... No, stage curves to the right, rings spawn on the left. I promise I know my directions. But that is Chaos Emerald number 4, I believe. Yes, Chaos Emerald number 4. But that is all the Chaos Emeralds we're getting in this stage. Next up, we have our first fight against Dr. Robotnik. And let's spin dash into the fight. I should have actually gone to get rings as a safety precaution, but I'm confident enough in my skills that I don't need rings. So, this is the first Dr. Robotnik fight. All he really does is he drives back and forth, and when he gets down to hit number 8, he will shoot out that drill at you. However, if you jump up and down and hit him as he's going back and forth, you'll have no problem. Head to the end of the stage and hit the capsule to release the first amount of flickies. Anyway, I will see you next time on the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Let's Play.